Hi, my name is Rebecca, and I'm with the Adult Tutoring Program at the Literacy Center of West Michigan. And it's currently July 2020, and all of our tutoring pairs are meeting virtually now. So I just want to share a few ideas for a virtual lesson about maps and virtual traveling. And no matter what your learner's level is, and whether they're an ELL or an ABE learner, I hope that some of these ideas could be incorporated into a tutoring lesson. So the first thing I did, I just went on Google and typed in city map ESL so that I could find something that you might see in a textbook. So maybe you could start by reviewing places and proximity. And your learner may not need this kind of review, but it might be a good place to start. So you can review vocabulary related to location, such as across from, next to, perhaps north or south of. And you can also review descriptive vocabulary, such as bigger than, tall, round, brick, and so on. So after looking at this map, this kind of fake city map, I wanted to look at a Grand Rapids map. So I went to Google Maps and I focused here on the Grand Rapids Public Museum. And you could look at any place in the area that your learner frequents or that they might like learning more about. So you can do a similar thing with this map as you did with this map. Describe what the museum is next to or across from. And I want to share as well a feature that you may not know about. It's kind of fun for looking at maps and talking about travel, is this street view option. So I went down here in the corner, I grabbed this little guy, and I just placed him right on the street. And now I can see an image of the Grand Rapids Museum, Public Museum. And you can explore by clicking around the little arrows. And you can actually go around the city this way. So that's a neat feature. That's the street view option. You can also certainly pull up a map of another place, if maybe your learner's hometown or a house they used to live in, or perhaps their old school or a grocery store they used to go to. And you can pull up the map and explore the city together. Here I just happened to pull up a city in Michoacan, and I see that there's a central garden. So that could be a fun site to look at together. Again, I could use this street view option as well. And lastly, another idea that you can try maybe for homework or for another expansion, I found this article from The Guardian of 10 virtual tours of the world's most famous landmarks. So you can scroll through here and there are links of how you can look at these different places virtually. So that could be fun to check these places out, or certainly on Google Maps you could check out any place that is interesting to both of you. And if you want an expansion of all of that even further, so one of the places mentioned here is the Taj Mahal in India. So I went on VOA Learning English and I typed Taj Mahal, and I see that there's a reading about monkeys causing problems. And so you could read this article together. There's some vocabulary highlighted. You can also listen to the reading. It's about a 5-minute story, so that is a nice extra feature. So that's VOA Learning English, and I also went to News for You, a very popular resource among our learners. And one of the other places mentioned on this article was, of course, the pyramids, very famous place. And here's a reading on News for You about King Tut's tomb. And this one also has an option to listen to the story. So that's a great feature. If you read it together, you could also ask your learner to listen again later for homework, however you want to use that extra feature. And one last idea that I thought of, if you need an expansion, so we've done we have some reading, some listening, perhaps some grammar describing location and places. You can also talk about some grammar with conditional statements. You might ask questions like, if you could visit one place right now, where would you go? If you could take a trip with your family, where would you go? What would you do? And so you could practice conditional statements if you want to expand into more complex grammar with your learner. Anyway, I hope that gives you some ideas of some things you could do for virtual tutoring and virtual traveling. Happy tutoring!